All right, I'm going to call to order the City of Menasha Board of Public Works. Clerk Aliazi, could you please take roll call?
Alderman Langdon. Here. Alderman Kruger.
Here.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Here.
Alderman Ted Grady. Here. Alderman Rapella.
Present.
Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Alderman Severnick.
Here. All right, first up on the agenda is the minutes to approve for February 4th, 2019. Alderman Langdon.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make the motion to approve the minutes from the February 4th, 2019 meeting.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Alderman Rapalla. Is there any discussion? Oh, excuse me. It was a correction. It was Alderman Ted Grady. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving on to discussion and action items. Number one is the recommendation to award the contract unit for the new street construction to Summers Construction. Josh.
Yes, so we had two bidders, Summers Construction and Vinton Construction. Summers Construction came in, a fair amount under the Vinton Construction price. Came in under budget, actually by about $150,000. So it was significantly under budget, and significantly better pricing than what some of the DOT projects have gotten in the area. So we were extremely happy with the bid prices on this project.
Thank you. Could I have your motion? Alderman Langdon.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to make the motion to recommend to award contract unit number 2019-01.
No.
Sorry, you're correct, sorry about it.
Okay, we'll retract that, just to make sure. I'd like to make the motion to recommend the motion to award, forward to council the recommendation to award contract unit number 2019-01, and that is for new street construction, which is Province Terrace, Jenny Street, Province Link, and Midway Crossing in various locations. And that award is being to Summers Construction Company, Inc., in the amount of $697,000, $697,062.40.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it, please.
A second by Alderman Rapalla. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, can we take a roll call?
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Okay, moving on to discussion action item number 2 is a recommendation for a contract for the street construction to to the various places for Northeast Asphalt Incorporated. Director Adamski.
Again, we were very pleased with the bid prices for this project. They came in about $100,000 under budget. Northeast Asphalt was very competitively bid with MCC, so we were happy with the outcome of the bids.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Alderman Langdon.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make the motion to forward to council the recommendation to award contract unit number 2019-03, and that's for the street reconstruction for various locations, as in Broad Street, Melissa Street, Grove Street, Lawndale Drive Court, Greenwood Drive, Frederick Street, and the library parking lot. And that is being awarded to Northeast Asphalt, Inc. for the amount of $393,347.33.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Taylor.
Josh, are these going to be paved all at one time? They're going to leave streets sit, or is Northeast going to come in and do them as they're getting done?
Once Northeast starts on a street, they are required, I think they're limited to 15 days of inactivity. So it should move fairly quickly once Northeast asphalt gets into the street. The reason for the 15 days is in case they have concrete that needs to cure, that's at least a week.
Guess
So
that's not my question, if they're gonna, get these projects, you know, when these projects are set to go. I've seen them where they wait on all these streets and then just come in and do pave after pave, but they're gonna,
the contractor has their means and methods. We do not specify exactly how they are going to do that. We haven't had the pre-con for that, so we're not exactly sure what their proposed timeline is. However, the intention of our contract is, once they start a street, they have to button it up fairly quickly afterwards. There may be cases, such as Frederick Street, where there is water main work first. That street may sit because we don't have a very set timeline where the water main's gonna be done and then this paving contract is done. We need to keep our contract open, water needs to keep their contract open to get the best bid prices. So there are times where if there's water main or other utility work on a street, it may sit for a significant period of time, but it will be completed before the end of the construction season.
Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Chair. In Alderman Langdon's motion, he had mentioned the library parking lot. Could you tell me why that's being done this way and what exactly is being done?
So they are doing a mill and overlay of the library parking lot, or actually a replacement of the pavement within the library parking lot. It was budgeted for in the 2019 budget. We felt that instead of having our crews do the library parking lot, it would actually be beneficial to have the contractor do it, because we feel that they would be able to give us a better overall product for the price that we would pay. So that's why it was included with this project.
Okay, thank you. Thought it was different.
Alderman Langdon.
Thank you, Chair. I was just curious, Josh, we've had Summers Construction Company, Inc., you know, before. I was just wondering, have we ever had Northeast Asphalt, Inc.? I can't remember.
We have, and they are a very good contractor to work with. We are, delighted to be able to have them to work with this
Okay,
year.
thank you.
Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, can we take roll call?
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Okay, moving on to discussion item number 3 for the rear yard drainage program update. Director Radomski.
So I think we all recognize that the rear yard drainage program that we have through the city is a very valuable program for the residents. Exactly, and we had a bunch of issues last year, and it has become cumbersome for the engineering department to deal with. The average rear yard drainage program takes between 4 and 8 hours of staff time. Complicated ones can take, up to a week or even more of staff time. And it's just becoming something that is, we need to get some more direction on that, and make it more streamlined going forward. Because there's too many times where we have residents call, complain about the drainage, sign up for the program, get all the engineering done, all of the cost estimates done, find a landscaper to do it, and then they back out, and there's no penalty on them whatsoever. So the main change that we're making this time is to have a $100 refundable fee. So that $100 fee would be applied to the construction project if they chose to go through it. If they chose to back out for a variety of different reasons, then the $100 would be forfeited, and that would cover pretty much our staff time that we had put into the program. The other thing that we are doing with this update is providing some deadlines for when work would be done. So in order to have a project done, we would need an application due by July 1st. We would have engineering done by October 1st. And then it would be included with our November budget process. And this way, we're gonna be able to budget appropriately. If we have 5 projects that we think are gonna be $5,000, we'll budget 5,000. If we have 20 projects, we'll be able to budget for the 20 projects. So we'll be able to do all the projects that we need to do. And then, once they're all budgeted, then we would actually go out for one bid with all of the projects listed as alternate lump sum bids. And we feel that this will give the landscapers a reason to bid on these projects. We are having a heck of a time trying to find landscapers to try and come in for one-off projects here and there. They won't even come out and look at the projects for us a lot of times. So to try and have us chase down landscapers or have residents chase down landscapers has not worked overly well. So it's led to a lot of inefficiencies in the program. So by having one lump sum contract bid, we feel that this is going to be a much better way of doing this. And that's pretty much the extent of the updates. It's still going to be 50% cost for the city, 50% for the homeowner. Nothing's changing with the funding side of things. It's just a matter of having the homeowner have a little skin in the game at the start, and then also providing deadlines as far as when projects will actually go out.
Is there any other Alderman Powell?
Yeah, thank you, Alderman Krieger. Josh, explain, okay, you've got water in your backyard, you and your neighbor, 4 houses are together, you got a big pond in the backyard. You want to get that fixed, you pay your $100, the city's going to come in and put a big drain in the middle of those 4 yards, and then funnel it out to the drain, to the street? Or who's gonna do that? The landscaper's gonna do that?
So how it would work is you and your 4 neighbors would apply for the program, pay the $100 total refundable fee. We would come out, engineer a solution, and fund and budget for the solution, and then send it out to a contract for landscapers to bid on. The low bidding contractor for that project would be awarded that project, and the landscaper would actually do the work. So we would be involved with the engineering, the landscaper would be doing the construction work.
So would it be like a big drain in the middle? Like, it could be.
It could be grading. There's a number of different solutions. We've had anywhere from storm pipe into the middle of the street, to tying into catch basins, to just grading solutions.
Sure.
So there's a wide variety, and we will use our best engineering judgment to provide the best solution for the, the situation.
Now, I noticed you have a 50%, whatever, the city would pick up 50% of it. Is there a maximum amount of this, if it would cost $20,000 to do that situation? Would the city pick up 10,000 then?
Generally, it's been that the city will pick up to, I believe it's $1,000.
Okay, I didn't see the $1,000.
Yeah, I'll
right
make sure that that's in there. I'll modify that for the council meeting if that's all right.
now. Okay, so the max the city would be out would be $1,000 per
Yep.
incident, or per, okay, claim. Thank you very much, Josh.
Alderman Ted Grady.
Thank you, Chair. Continue with Alderman Rapella's example. Okay, now they fixed it. Does the warranty then fall on the landscaper? Menasha City is not liable if it's not done properly?
The final, so the landscaper would probably have a 6-month or a year warranty on their work, but overall, the existing, or the solution, whether it be pipe, grading, would be up to the homeowners to remain, or to maintain. The city would not be responsible for maintenance of any system that is put in.
Okay, because I think it said here, once completed and in the future, it's not an ongoing, it's whatever the landscaper gives, more or less, and the homeowner's got to abide by that.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Josh.
Is there any other discussion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you. Could you just go over what you were talking about with $1,000?
He asked whether there was a maximum fee, and I believe that we've been using $1,000, as previously was approved, as far as maximum amount that the city would cover would be $1,000.
Oh, so it's 50% up to $1,000?
Yes. And I'll make sure, I'll revise it slightly and include that with the council if that's all right with the board. I just wanna, it's been the common practice, it just missed out on this application, so.
What do these sorts of things typically cost?
The vast majority are about $1,000. It depends on the extent that it needs to go and how many property owners are affected. Vast majority of them are $500 to $1,000. And just to point out that $1,000 for the city would be a $2,000 project.
Thank you. In the first paragraph under background, you mentioned that sometimes members of the public will call and seek out information, some work is done, and then residents sometimes back out, and that this has happened on numerous occasions. And this is one of the reasons you're looking to update the program. So do you have a rough estimate of how many over the last couple years have backed out?
I know that there's been 2 or 3 in the last year and a half that I've been here. So we've probably done somewhere between 5 and 10 projects where we've gotten to the point where we've approached the homeowner and seen if they want to continue, and 2 or 3 have backed out. So we're probably talking somewhere between 10 and 30% are backing out once they find out a cost estimate.
Okay. And under item 2, under recommended program steps, could you tell us a little bit more? You've outlined how the program might change. The property owner will be responsible for getting signatures and buy-in from affected neighboring properties. Could you tell us more about how it works now and how it would work in the future?
So currently what we do is if we get a complaint about a drainage problem, we'll go out, we'll look at it, see what properties may be affected, and we will physically go door to door to the properties and go, knock on the door and go, we have an issue with the drainage, this is something that your neighbor has brought up, we need you to sign this. Sometimes the neighbors or sometimes the person doing the application, does that for us, but a lot of times we're stuck doing that work. That is very time consuming and not overly effective. It's usually better if you can get the neighbors all on board together. That is far more likely to go through as a final project than if we approach the neighboring properties, it's kind of looked at as the city's forcing people to do this, or the city is forcing our hand to sign on to this. Whereas if the neighbors work together and get all those signatures ahead of time, it makes it for a much easier project.
I can understand that point of view. The flip side is how many folks are actually are comfortable and feel equipped enough to talk about a drainage problem that needs to be addressed, or that could be addressed with some sort of.
And we would tell them that if they have any questions, they're more than free to contact our engineering department. And we can do a little bit of it, but the main thing is just getting the introduction to the neighbor. That's the hardest part on our end, is trying to even make contact with the neighbors, because we don't have phone numbers for all the neighbors. We physically have to go door to door and, say, call us, which.
Well, you do that for other things.
We do, and usually we get about 20% callback. So in general, we want the neighbors to work together, because they're gonna own and maintain this together. So if they're not able to communicate and talk at the beginning of the process, the chances of them being able to communicate and talk 3 years down the road if there's an issue is slim to none. So we want to start those lines of communication early on between the neighbors enforce that it's a joint project. It's not a city's project, it's a neighborhood project that the city is helping to fund.
Okay, and then, last question. What other potential strategies were discussed to address your concerns?
We discussed everything from scrapping the program because it's becoming too cumbersome to doing only 1 or 2 projects a year to continuing with the same project, same process, but understanding that we're only able to do 3 or 4 projects a year. We did discuss other things, we had discussed possibly not having the application fee, but we felt that that was something that it makes the residents actually, put some skin in the game early on, because there's too many that do back out later on. So we did have a couple of different, iterations of this go through, but this was the one that we felt was gonna both benefit the community as well as, make it a more streamlined process for the engineering group.
Okay, tonight I'm gonna vote to move this out of committee. I will support that move. I still have some questions and things to think about. The $100 fee, you think would be sufficient, you mentioned, to cover staff time?
It would not cover staff time. I mean, if we spend 4 hours there at $50 an hour, we're talking $200, but we felt that $200 would probably be, something that would cause people to go, no, I don't want to use the program. Especially when they're only paying $300, $400, $500 for the overall project. To have a $200 down payment would be a little excessive, we felt. So even though the $100 doesn't completely cover our engineering costs, it still gives the residents, some skin in the game that is a significant portion of future project costs.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. And one last point, you mentioned in the memo that a typical rear yard drainage program project requires between 4 and 8 hours of staff time. I look at that as 1/2 to a whole workday. So I'm just gonna put it out there that it doesn't seem like an absorbent amount of time to me as an individual. And that's one of the things that I will just take into consideration as this moves ahead.
One thing I do want to point out is that 4 to 8 hours is not consecutive days, or consecutive hours. It's an hour for the surveyor to survey the property. It's an hour for us to track down all the neighboring property owners. It's an hour for us to do the engineering, 2 hours for us to find landscapers. But because we're spending an hour here, hour there, 2 hours there, it creates a lot of inefficiencies with our process. So even though you're only spending 4 to 8 hours, it might really be eating up 10 to 12 hours of your day.
Thank you.
Alderman Taylor.
Do you have any of these problems east of Oneida Street?
We do have some problems east of Oneida Street. Most of the areas east of Oneida Street have grading and erosion control plans that were put in as part of the subdivision. And if the landowners did not follow that grading and erosion control plan, because they have landscape grades that they are required to meet, then they do not qualify for the program. They have to meet those landscape grades, or else within a couple inches. We usually give about a 3-inch window. If there's still a problem and you met those landscape grades, then there's something that we need to do to fix that. But generally those areas were constructed with a grading and erosion control plan in place, so the grading out there generally works a little bit better.
That's why I asked that question, because I know when we plot this land and these subdivisions that we shouldn't have these problems out there at that point.
And provided that houses are constructed on, at the proper grades, they generally do not have too bad of issues out there. But that doesn't necessarily mean that some properties did not follow the grading plan.
What about city employees or city officials using this fund?
It has never come up in the past, and, you know, I would think that it would apply to any residents within the city of Menasha. Whether, you know, I'm sure that there's gonna be someone that may use it eventually, but there's no, you know, priority given to city employees or aldermen or anything like that. It's just, if you have a problem, a drainage problem for a property within the city of Menasha, it applies.
Do you agree with that, Alderman, or Attorney Captain?
Attorney Captain?
And I guess I'm wondering what the question is.
Oh, the question, sorry, go ahead.
The question was, the rear drainage program, is that, can city officials and city employees use that program?
If it's available to everyone, and that's the way the program was devised, then that's fine.
But you don't know if that's the way it was set up, is that correct? Could you get back to us on that?
I don't know how it was set up. I guess that's a question for those who administer it.
From my understanding, that was never a stipulation in the program, was that you could not be a city official. Now, I do not believe that we've necessarily done any city officials, you know, properties, but, you know, I do not believe that that has ever been a stipulation with the program.
And you can find that out for us?
I have found nothing contrary to that.
Thank you.
Alderman Sevenick?
It's not even what I was gonna address, but I don't think we qualify under state statute. It wouldn't allow us to accept that type of dollars. When you deal with money, it becomes a different issue, so I think it needs to be researched. I don't think we're entitled to it. But anyways, my question is, well, first of all, this is an old program. This isn't something new. You're just making some very minor changes to it to make it more effective. And just talking here with my colleague, Alderman Langdon, who's been around, you know, him and my district benefit from this a lot. You get a constituent who calls you, right away they think it's a city's problem, and it's not. But this is a solution that we came up with to work with them, you know, part way. So it's a very good program. I think we need to just move forward. I like the new idea of adding the fee. The only other question I have is, if you recall, last April, maybe it was May, we had a large group of people that lived on East Marquette Street that came in. Have any of them been, come in and ask about this program? Because, you know, they wanted answers, they wanted solutions. Here it is.
I want to say that Marquette Street did come in. I'll verify that for the next meeting, but I do believe that they did come in and they are in the waiting, you know, in the queue of projects to be done. Unfortunately, the way that this program has been set up in the past has been, we have $5,000, but if we get 10 projects, might only have 3 done, and then you have to sit on the other 7. And so that's why we're trying to clean up that application process so that we can have one project at the beginning of the year that encompasses all of the previous applications, so that we don't have to have those 7 that are out there for a couple of years waiting for funding in the future.
I just recently bumped into a lady that lived over there. She recognized me and said, "When's the city gonna take care of our drainage problem out there?" And I'm just thinking, see, it's always, they think it's us, and it's not. So here we give them this, and then they're like, well, we don't wanna do anything about it. So, but I'd like for them to at least know about this program, so I don't know, is that your district?
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's an answer, or at least a possible solution for them. All right, thank you.
Alderman Ted Grady.
Thank you, Chair. Also, another street, the Willow Lane thing with the sidewalks, they complained about that, so that would be another area to make sure they know about this program. I forgot, Alderman Sevenick mentioned about aldermen not taking this or whatever because of a money issue or whatever. But if it's 4 or 5 homes in an area and the drainage is all good for everyone, and if you happen to be a lot owner, alderman of one of those 5 people, I mean, we gotta look at that too. I mean, I don't. Oh, well, maybe you can do it now, but if there's more people that are affected by it, so just keep that in mind too. Thanks.
Alderman Taylor.
Josh, you're gonna get back on verifying Marquette Street, but, I don't know if you want, council action on this, but I would like to know if the program, city employees and city officials can use this program. I would like to have you get, an actual ruling on that for us.
We can look into that for the council meeting as well.
Thanks.
Right, well, okay, we need a motion to recommend to the council the proposed changes to the rear yard drainage program. Could I have a motion? Alderman
Is
Langdon.
this a motion or is this just an update?
Yeah,
Move to council?
Move it to council.
Okay, I'll make the motion to move the council for the rear yard drainage program update.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second by Alderman Tom Grady. Is there any other discussion? See none, can we take roll call?
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Last on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned.